Hi guys. Today you are going to be doing a little bit of what's called paper chromatography. So chromatography is a method of separating mixtures based upon their attraction to a particular solvent and to a particular what's called a stationary phase. So what will happen is you will have a solvent. For today, it's just going to be deionized water. We'll try another solvent on Friday. And then for your stationary phase, you're going to have some paper, some filter paper. So what will happen is that you'll apply the mixture that you want to separate, which are going to be these pens and inks, to the paper, and then you will dip them in the water and allow the water to travel up the paper, through the dye, and then carry the different parts of the dye or the marker ink along with it. And then hopefully you will see the different components of the ink or the dye along the paper once it's all done. So you should have, at this point, read through the lab. You should sort of understand what you are going to do. But there are a couple of key pieces that it's easy to miss or mix up or whatnot. So a couple of things I just want to point out, and then you're good to go. So first of all, you are going to be using this well tray. Okay, it has pretty big wells, but the filter paper is too wide. So what you're going to need to do is cut the filter paper in half lengthwise so that you get two narrow strips from each piece of filter paper. And your pieces of filter paper, if they're about 10 centimeters or so long, that is a pretty good amount. You don't want to go too long, but you don't want a really short strip either, because then you won't get enough separation. So just about 10 centimeters is perfect. And then I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. See, cutting lengthwise. It's kind of hard to do. So, see. So you need 12 strips about this size, about 10 centimeters long, and then in half, the long way. So now it fits very nicely in the well. Okay. The next thing you're going to need to do is make a mark with pencil 1.5 centimeters from the bottom of the strip. Okay, it is critical that you use for this step a pencil. Okay, because if you used a pen, what might happen? The ink might run. Okay, so you're going to make a line at 1.5 centimeters, just straight across with your pencil. The other thing that you will want to do somewhere on the other end is put your initials or your group identifier. So I'm going to put RC for Renee Cool. Put whatever you want so that you can identify your strips in case you need to look at them again later. The other thing that you want to do is indicate what marker or what food dye you're looking at. So I'm going to do, let's say, blue marker. So I did BLM for blue marker. Okay, so that's one strip. I'm going to do another strip just to demonstrate with the dye. So same thing, still using my trusty pencil, 1.5 centimeter mark, and then on the other end, RC, and then this time, let's do blue dye. Stay in the blue family. So I'm going to put BLD for blue dye. Okay, so the next piece is to apply your ink or your dye. For the ink, it's fairly straightforward. You just take your marker, whichever color is mentioned on your sheet, and then you're going to make just a small dot right on your pencil line. Okay, so see, it's not a huge dot, it's just a little tiny dot. If you leave the marker too long, it will start to bleed and you'll start to get a really huge dot. No, don't do that. You want just a teeny tiny, nice little dot right there. Okay, and you want it right on the line because that's going to be our point of origin for our measurements. For the food coloring, if I were to just make a drop of this, let's see, I'll do it on the far end. If I were to just make a drop of this, it would be gigantic. Okay, there's no way that would ever separate because it's like a lake of blue food coloring. You do not want this. This is bad. So what I'm going to have you do instead of the lake is if you kind of squeeze some food coloring up into the cap, or you can even squeeze it like into an empty well if that's easier. And then you're going to take a little toothpick, just dip the toothpick in the food dye at the end of the bottle, and then you're going to use that and just, you may have to dot it a couple of times, but you're going to use that to just get a nice tiny dot instead of a mess. Okay, nice dot. So that's what you want to do, nice dot. Okay, so once you have all four of your dyes, so you're doing blue, green, red, yellow, food coloring, and then you're doing basically a full packet of markers. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then black and brown. Okay. So once you have each of those dotted, you're going to run your chromatography strips. So to do that, you're going to take your well and fill 6 of the wells about halfway with water. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but they're about halfway full. You don't want to get them super full for a reason that I'll show you right now. So I'm going to suggest only doing 6 of the strips at a time, like 6 of the markers in one, and then 2 markers plus the 4 food colorings in another, just to make sure that the chromatograms are supported and you don't get any weird results. So it's extremely important that this little dot does not come in contact with the water. If it does, it will just spread out and it won't separate as it travels up the strip. So to sort of facilitate that, you're going to take the end of your strip and fold it so it has a little tail. And then that tail is what you're going to set down into the water. And then you can kind of rest the rest of the strip on the chromatography tray. Okay, so we can do the same thing here. Fold it, make a little tail, set it in. Do make sure it's actually like in the water But also be very careful when you're filling these wells that you don't get any auxiliary splashing on the other wells. Okay, so then you wait. Okay, and the water is going to travel up your chromatography strip and hopefully separate the ink or the dye as it goes. Okay, I am going to do a TV fast forward and say that something has already happened. Okay. So when you get to the point where you have water up most of your strip, let's say the water is, to there where you still have about a centimeter or so at the end of your strip, you're going to want to pull it out and set it maybe on a piece of paper towel. I'm just going to set it on the table. And immediately, when you pull the strip out, you want to make a couple of measurements or mark a couple of things. So the first thing you want to do immediately, and again, probably with pencil will make this easier, you want to mark the end of the water, because the water, even though the strip is out, the water is going to continue to move a little bit. And then you're going to want to mark the locations where you see different colors of dye. So let's say I have blue up here. Okay, so I'm kind of making an oval around all the blue. And then let's say I have some purple just down here. Okay, so you're going to mark, kind of circle the whole color that you see. If you see 4 colors, you're going to have 4 different ovals or circles. Okay. And then for your measurements, you're going to measure from the beginning line, the starting line, to the ending line. That's going to tell you how far the water went. And then you're going to measure from the starting line to the middle of each color. So again, if you have 4 colors, you're going to have 5 measurements, 1 for the water, and then 1 for each color, from the starting line to the center of the color. Starting line to the center of the color. Okay? And we'll talk more about that when I'm back on Friday. So, do your best. Hopefully, this lab isn't hard, but like I said, there are a couple of things you just have to keep note of. So if you have any questions, you can ask Mrs. Kehoe. You can ask her to ask Mr. Moser. Have fun. Clean up after yourselves. Be good, as I know you will. And I will see you on Friday.